Here we are. Alright, so hello everyone and welcome back to Satisfactory. So we are staring at the power grid right now, and as you can see, it's a bit close. The production capacity is currently between consumption and max consumption, and consumption is very stable, so I'm not super worried about it, but still, it's a bit close for comfort. So, let's actually respawn real quick. Let's get back to the hub and start planning for our nuclear power. Now, we don't have singularity cells, which I believe if we search for fixonium... Yeah, so we need singularity cells in order to make fixonium, which means that we can't do that part of the process right now. But we can do all the others. So let's start scanning some hard drives and start selecting some uranium-related recipes. I don't know what exactly we're going to need, so we're just gonna pick everything that looks nuclear-related and see what happens. Okay, so here we have two alternatives. One uses encased plutonium to make and pressure conversion cubes to make fuel rods. The other one uses uranium and aluminum casings to make plutonium. I don't think you want to use uranium to make plutonium. I think it's more efficient to do the uranium part of the process first. So let's take uranium fuel unit because that's nuclear related. And the rest of these are not nuclear related. So we're going to rescan that one, and we don't get anything interesting. Alright, we're just going to leave those to scan for a bit. And then we need to figure out how big of a power plant we want. So, how much do these guys make? One of these makes 2,500 megawatts. And we would want this to provide like a lot of power. Also, that's getting very wobbly. I don't know if that's a good thing. It looks like it's wobbling up above where it was. Anyways, we're making like 220,000 power right now off of that. So theoretically, we would want like we would want like 100 of these, but that seems excessive. I think the easier way to do it would be to base it off of how much resources it needs, and then just however much that ends up, however many reactors that ends up being is fine. Alright, so we have uranium fuel rods and uranium fuel units. These are the only two recipes. So this one is 100 to 3 as opposed to 50 to 1. So already that's more efficient. It's also 10 to 3 as opposed to 5 to 1 on the control rods. But then we need crystal oscillators and rotors instead of encased industrial beams. But that's probably still worth it. So we're going to start with that. And let's just figure this out. So if we get a display sign and uranium fuel rods, so we want to go uranium fuel rods. So this should give us just the ratios, right? So it's one fuel rod is 33.3 uranium cells, 3.3 electromagnetic control rods, one crystal oscillator, 3.3 rotors. So one fuel rod equals uranium I can't even remember what those are called. What are all those things called? Encased uranium cells, electromagnetic control rods, crystal oscillators. Uranium cells, 3.3 crystal oscillators. And what was next? It was one crystal oscillator and 3.3 rotors. Oh, this was not crystal oscillators. This was electromagnetic control rods. Control rods, 1 crystal oscillators, and 3.3 rotors. Alright, so that's our ratio. And let's go down the uranium cell pipeline for a bit. So we need 33.3 of these using one of these two recipes. And we have sulfuric acid or just regular old sulfur. So this is 10 to 5. This is 5 to 4. So that's dramatically more uranium efficient. It uses quick wire, silica, and sulfur instead of sulfuric acid and concrete. But I think the uranium is ultimately going to be the bottleneck. So let's do this. So if this is 33.333, that is 41.667 uranium. So this is encased uranium cells. So 33.3 of those is 41.3 encased uranium cells equals 41.333 uranium ore. All right, that's correct, right? We go this. Oh wait, no, because we're using this alternate. So, it's 41.667 uranium. 41.6 uranium. And then the other things were 25 silica, 41.6 sulfur, 125 quick wire. 25 silica, 41.6 sulfur, and 125 quick wire. All right. So if we do that, it actually does not use a whole lot of uranium at all. I mean, I guess it uses a decent chunk, but it's relatively not complicated. Okay. So then, how much uranium is on the map? Let's hide the train stations and hide the trains. And apparently we have a lot of drones nowadays. So let's hide those as well. And where are the drones? There they are. Alright, so this should give us enough space. So we have a normal node there. That's going to be 600. We have an impure node up there. That's going to be 900. An impure node up there. That's going to be 1200. We have an impure node there. That's like 1500. Another normal node there. So we're looking at like 2100 uranium-ish, at least that I've manage to fit in my scans. So that means what? How much is this? So if we need 41.666 uranium per fuel rod, then 2100 divided by 41.6 is 50. Alright, so theoretically, let's just round that to 50 probably. Let's see here. So that would be just like this, basically. But alright, so let's round this to 50 and see if we run into problems with other resources, because we have the other things to consider. Oh, our MAM research is finished. We should keep those guys scanning. Dark ion fuel. So this gives ionized fuel from dark matter. Alright, that doesn't seem helpful. And is that the last? No, we do have another scan available at the moment, despite the fact that this only gave one. And I think I started that scan before I selected a bunch of recipes, so we're going to be getting repeats now. Alright, so let's do this then. 50 fuel rods. That's going to be our target. Actually, do we bump it up to 50.4? It'll probably be fine. Okay. Well, I forgot to get the 3.3 in that section, so that's not good. So we might run out of some other things trying to do this. And 50 is a nice round number, so let's just go with that. It'll make ratios easier. So 50 fuel rods equals how much? The math isn't working in my brain right now. So we need this to be set to like 0.5. So that's 166.6 repeating encased uranium cells. So we do that, and then it's going to be is that right? Am I missing a 0 there? I might be missing a 0 there. So that's 0.5. We multiply that. Oh no, it's 1,666. Yeah, okay. I am missing a 0 there. So we do that. And then we have to make the electromagnetic control rods 166.6 repeating. The crystal oscillators are 1-to-1, so we just need 50 of those. And then we need 166.6 rotors. Alright, so the uranium cells. We can copy paste that one over because we've already done that. So 1,666.6 encased uranium cells equals 1,666.6. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to do that. So we do this, and then we have to add in a couple of zeros. So this is 2,083.3 repeating uranium and sulfur. So this is 2083.3 uranium, 2083.3 sulfur. The silica and quick wire are going to be let's see, it's this times 100, so 1,250 and 6,250. 1,250 silica and 6,250 sulfur, which I believe is probably... Oh wait, no, that's 6,250 quick wire, which is potentially doable. The sulfur and might be a concern. How much untapped sulfur do we have? We've got a couple... There should be enough, probably. Yeah, we've got a couple normals and a couple impures. This might actually be an issue. You're impure as well. Yeah, the sulfur might be a problem, because that we're using for our rocket fuel, so we can't really use it for anything else without causing potential issues. I don't know, there might be more sulfur lurking around somewhere. How much... This would be an insane amount of power, right? So let's see here. How much does one power plant even use? Just for comparison of how much I need. So we can clear out all this stuff which isn't being used. And just pop a foundation on. So you can go there, and that should be enough space to fit one nuclear power plant. Alright, so you are in, and you use 0.2 per minute. Okay, yeah, let's do it this way. You use 0.2 per minute. We want to have as much uranium-based power as we have fuel-based power. So you use 0.2 per minute. You produce 2,500. If we want 100 of these, that would be 20 fuel rods per minute total. So let's do that. And then, actually, does it say how much water this thing takes in this? Yes, 240 a minute, and if we max overclock it, it would be up to a full pipe, basically. Alright, so let's say we're going to do 20 a minute, because that seems much more achievable than 50 a minute. So, if we make that 20, then what's our ratios here? It's 33.3 there, so 20 times 33.3 is just 666, I think. And we can do the same thing for that one and that one. Just chop off the one. Is that right? Yeah, that should be right. Okay, and then for the crystal oscillators, it's 1-to-1, so that just goes down to 20. Alright, so you are 666, and the ratio here is a weird one. So let's just figure this out manually again. encased uranium cells, if we want that, it would be 833, 500, and 2,500. So it would be 833 there. It would be 500 there. It would be 2,500 there. And it would be 833.3 there. So that is the encased uranium cell. And we can absolutely do that super easily, just like 1 or 2 nodes each. And the silica and the quick wire shouldn't be too hard either. So next up is the electromagnetic control rods. Electromagnetic control rods. So we have default recipe or this recipe. And let's see, this uses high-speed connectors, which uses a lot of stuff. This just uses AI limiters, which are easier. So let's just use the default recipe for that. Okay, let's just take dark ion fuel, just so that we have it, and keep scanning. Alright, so we need 66.6 electromagnetic control rods. And we're using this recipe. So we're going to be doing, what, 10, so what, we have to multiply this by 10, so it would be 100 stators, and then 666.6 AI limiters. So we have this, so 66.6 EM control rods equals 100 stators, 66.6 AI limiters. Alright, so then let's figure out the stators then. So those we are just going to do probably just quick wire stators, because we need to produce a bunch of quick wire anyways. So we need 100 of these, which is going to be 200 steel pipes, 750 quick wire. 100 stators equals 200 steel pipes, 750 quick wire. Okay, let's get these images on so that I can see more clearly what I've done already. So you are stators, and then we have the AI limiters, which we have plastic and copper. Either one uses quick wire. Let's just do copper. And how much do we need? 66.6. So we do this. So that's 33.3 copper, 133.3 quick wire. So this equals 33.3 copper sheets and 133.3 quick wire. Done, and then this gets the AI limiter image. Alright. So that is the electromagnetic control rods down to relatively simple things. Then this is silica, sulfur, and quick wire. Then we go over to the 20 crystal oscillators. So let's get that in. 20 crystal oscillators equals, and we have to give you the image. Crystal oscillators, we have 2 recipes, the default recipe and one involving rubber. Nothing we've done so far has involved oil, right? Right. So I think we avoid that if possible. Although how much more efficient is it? This is 36-2. This is 10-1 in terms of quartz. It also uses AI limiters, which we already have. And rubber is relatively easy. How much rubber? Just 140? Alright, sure. Let's do this. So that's 200, 140, and 20. 200 quartz crystals, 140 rubber, and I've already forgotten what the last thing was. It was another 20 AI limiters. 20 AI limiters. Alright, so that is going to add more onto the numbers of those that we need to make, which I didn't think would happen. Alright, so then we just need to do the rotors, and we need 66.6 rotors. Alright, so we go rotors. And 66.6 repeating rotors equals 3 alternates. We have copper wire and steel pipes. We have iron only, and we've got copper sheets and screws. Let's go with steel rotors, probably. Just purely based on vibes. I'm not sure this is the most efficient way, but it's 133 steel pipes, 400 wire. Steel pipes and 400 wire. Alright, so if we go all the way back to here, we have uranium cells, EM control rods, crystal oscillators, and rotors done. We have uranium ore, silica, sulfur, and quickwire. So we have silica and quickwire left to do there. We need to update the AI limiters to 86.6. We need to do the steel pipes and the quickwire. Alright, let's update the AI limiters and then figure out the sort of more raw resources. So this needs to be 86.6 AI limiters. And we were doing this one. So that's 43. So that's 433.3 copper sheets, 173.3 quick wire. So we just have to change that. And that's the total number of AI limiters that we need. Alright. So now we have all the sort of like complicated-ish things done. So now we just need to account for the sort of more raw resources. So we have 500 silica. Anywhere else use silica? No. So 500 silica. So put that in there. Equals silica. Alright, so what are our options here? We can either make it directly from raw quartz, we could make it with limestone, or we could do this horrifically complicated distilled silica thing. Let's see, what even is this? So you put raw quartz and sulfuric acid, it looks like, or nitric acid. So that would add nitrogen to the list of things that we need, which I don't especially want to do, but it is, let's see, is it even more efficient? So we go 24 to 12, so that's 2 to 1 there, and then back to 2 to 1, so you get slightly more silica than you get quartz. And then on the quartz crystal side, it's 24 to 15. And okay, so that's just worse along both metrics. So that seems like a bit of a scam. All right, yeah, let's just do regular old silica. So we need 300 raw quartz. And then we're going to need the quartz crystals later, but we'll get to that later. Another MAM research is finished, so let's keep these guys scanning. Alright, we are apparently all caught up on those, so that's cool. Alright, so next up is the quick wire. We need 2,500 of it. From there, and we need an additional 750 there, so that's 2250. So we need 2250, and that's all. Alright, so quick wire. We need 2250 quick wire. And if we just go into here, we're going to be using fused quick wire because of course we are. So we need 187.5 deuterium, 937.5 copper. 187.5, 937.5. Deuterium, 937.5 copper. Alright, so that is quickwire done. Next up, we just continue working along this way until there's nothing left. So that's the quickwire done. Stators and AI limiters both done. Next up is steel pipes. We need 200 there. Do we need anywhere else? Yes, we need 333.3 steel pipes. So, steel pipes, we need 333.3 steel pipes, and I have to search like steel pipe in order for it to narrow down enough. So we could do iron pipe, but that seems incredibly inefficient. So that would be like over 1,000 iron ingots. That seems like a scam. Let's do steel pipe. We've got coal, probably. We don't need to bring limestone into this. So this would be 500 steel ingots. Equals 500 steel ingots. Alright, so that is that done. Now we just go back over to here and keep working across. That's 43.3 copper sheets. So we need really hardly any. Is that right? Is it really that efficient? No, it's definitely not. So it's probably, I forgot to multiply it by 10. Yeah, I think that's what happened. It's 433.3 copper sheets, because it's like 5 to 1. Alright, 433.3 copper sheets. Anywhere else use copper sheets? No, obviously not. So we have copper sheets and 433.3 copper sheets equals how many alt recipes? There are like 2 for this, right? Yeah, so this is steamed. So this is the same number of copper ingots and water. Copper ingots and water. There we go. Copper sheets, check. Next up is... oh, wait. I messed up the quick wire. This is why I tend to not do this manually this late in the game. It just gets too complicated. Alright. So we need to add on another 173.3 quick wire. So, quick wire, 173.3. Should just be able to type that in. It's 14.4 and 72.2 deuterium. Plus 14.4 plus 72.2, and that is how much? 2250 plus 173.3 plus 173.3 quick wire. Alright, so that is that done. So next up we need our 200 quartz crystals. So we're just going to go over here, get quartz crystals, 200 quartz crystals equals, and this with pure quartz is 257.14. 257.14 raw quartz and some water. How much water? Not that much. 142.86. 0.86 water. Alright, so we have the quartz crystals. Now we need the 140 rubber, which I'm just going to import, I think. So we're just going to treat that as a raw resource. Then the AI limiters, which we've already accounted for. Alright, next up is rotors. So these are adding to the steel pipes on 133 steel pipes. Okay, wait, no, this isn't 33.3, it's 333.3, and it's the correct amount of steel ingots there. The ratio is right. Alright, next up we have 400 wire. Alright, so this is wire, and 400 wire equals how much copper? If we do fuse wire, because it's more efficient, and we have the deuterium already, it's 533, no, it's 53.3 copper and 13.3 deuterium. 53.3 copper What was the Caterium? I really need to have a better memory. 13.3. Caterium. Alright, so that is the wire from the rotors, and that goes down to raw quartz. Then this is Caterium and copper only. That's steel ingots only. That's copper ingots and water. Alright, so now we just have to do the copper and Caterium ingots and the steel ingots. Alright, so Caterium ingots. We have 187.5. Actually, it's more like, let's see, 197, 201.9. 201.9. Something like that. I don't know. We're probably not gonna use this setup anyways. I think I just want to just compare how good my own calculations are compared to what a calculator can give us. So this is going to be, what, 1009.722? And that's probably 0.944. Okay. Yeah, let's just use a calculator for this. I almost got there, but I'm not confident my numbers are correct, and I'm also pretty sure that there's much better ways out there. So we are just going to do that. Uranium fuel rods. We want 20 per minute. And we're willing to use all alternate recipes and all base recipes. Alright, so what does this guy come up with? Yeah, okay, it's doing all sorts of insane nonsense. Oh, it wants to use SAM to turn copper into bauxite and then bauxite into uranium. Alright, I don't want that. You don't get to use the converter. Please do something normal that actually uses uranium. Alright, so we are still using crude oil and Caterium. It does want us to do quartz purification for some reason. And then the limestone as well. And yeah, this should all be fine. I don't see huge numbers of anything in particular. We're just gonna have to get like mildly sizable numbers of everything. And I am going to add in my rubber as an input so that I can just skip on doing that. So that will get rid of the whole crude oil loop. At least most of it. No, you haven't taken that into account at all. What are you doing? Oh, you want to make plastic as well. Okay. Sure, let's go inputs, add plastic, and let's just add some zeros so that it definitely doesn't need any. Alright, now this should all be set. We're going to be taking in 300 plastic and 140 rubber. Both of those are perfectly fine. Alright, this should be alright. So now we just need to set this up, which is going to be quite a headache, because we need to gather a huge variety of different resources, and it all needs to be efficient. and reliable. So the reliable is the big thing here. We cannot have traffic jams or other factories using our resources. Anything like that happening would be catastrophic. So we are going to need to bring all this in, like, individually, specifically for this project. And that is going to cause some complications, I guess, because we're going to have to find all the resources. So, how is this area to start with? We've got coal, we've got uranium, we've got quartz, we've got sulfur, although not enough of the uranium or the sulfur. We'd have to import some, but that's fine. 300 copper isn't enough. And I guess we could bring it from down there. And then there isn't really much iron here. Alright. And also we need to think about the fact that we need to build this by the ocean so that we have, like, actual water, because this is going to use an insane amount of water. Just inevitably. So I want to build somewhere that has most everything, like the swamp. We've got a couple iron nodes. We've got a pure copper node. We have limestone. We have water all over. We've got sulfur, although only impure. How much sulfur? We need like 800 sulfur, right? Yeah, we need like 800 sulfur. So that impure node isn't going to cut it, so we're going to have to import some sulfur. We have a uranium node. We're going to have to import another one. We've got quartz. We've got coal. Alright, I think... Oh, is there nitrogen here? There is some, and we don't need much more. So yeah, let's build in the swamp again and see how that works out for us. There's already other factories there, which could pose a problem for just like having space. But we will... I mean, there's going to be plenty of vertical space probably, and we do want the final production to be down by the water, so we don't have to do shenanigans to get all the water up. So that is going to be... Well, it's going to be relatively easy. We can just bring our belt down from wherever we are. Okay, I ran into a sign and got stopped, which is annoying. Alright, so we just keep on going over this way. And I could have hypertube cannoned, but it's fine. So we need to think about how we're getting all this stuff imported. So the train network is risky because the train network can jam, and it can also wind up using other resources. So I think we might... Let's see. What are we bringing in via... What are we bringing in? We need a bit of uranium, but not all of it. We need a bit of sulfur, but not all of it. The rest of the stuff, I think, is there. So I think we can probably just drone in the uranium and the sulfur, and it'll be okay. Which means we can build this entirely disconnected from the rest of the things, and doing it that way will involve, you know, having drones with fuel. That could become a problem, but I think we're just gonna assume that the fuel generator stays mostly functional. Alright, so let's drop down here. And step 1 of any factory is gathering up the resources. And also, step 0 is not dying on impact. That's an important step. Alright, so we need to figure out where exactly we're building this. And that factory is up there, and it gets pretty low down to ground level. So I think we're gonna build this in this area here. We've got plenty of space. We're closer to the ocean proper. So let's just pop down a foundation. And where are you gonna go? You can just go there. And then we want to wall this up a good amount so that we don't run into trees and stuff as often, if ever. Then we expand that out, and now we just need to find a power line and bring it up here. There's a power line. So you come over this way. And we have power on the foundation. So now we can swap to hover pack mode temporarily. And we can start slapping down a couple of these guys. Just a good starting square. Alright, now we're going to be bringing in all of our resources onto this square, basically. So let's just look here and go sort of in order, I guess. So first up, we have limestone. The limestone is right down there. That's trivial. We need to bring power across. So this power line comes over here and then goes down there somewhere. And wait, I was actually heading in the wrong direction. I got turned around because the swamp is dark and annoying. The limestone is apparently over this way, which also needs power lines. Yeah, so it's just in front of us. Right past the bauxite and just sort of on this other island over here. There it is. So miner Mark III. And you get powered up. And that's 240 limestone, and we only need 160 something. So that is good to go. So let's just bring this belt on over. And then we're going to have to lift it up to get onto our foundation. So this goes up to here. And it is in. Alright, next up is the quartz. The quartz is a bit further. It's all the way up there. Is there any down here? No. So we have to go all the way up there to grab a quartz belt, which we can just grab like the normal one. So off to the northwest. And we're gonna want to bring power along with us so that we can fly in case we don't have it already, which we might. So this just keeps on going. We do have power in this area, mostly. So we can just keep on going. There's some power slugs, which I don't care about because I have infinite free power shards now. Okay, now we go up this cliff face. And how much further is it? Not much further. We are just about there. So here we are. Here is some quartz. So let's get a Miner Mark III onto that guy. And you're doing 480 and we need 380. So you are all good. So we can just take a Mark IV belt out from you. And you are going to have to negotiate a lot more terrain and a lot more complicated and annoying terrain in order to get back. Alright, so let's have you pop off the edge of this and then go down like that. And then keep going down. Maybe if you can reach. No, it looks like that's not going to work. So instead, let's sort of go over this way. And the surface is too uneven there. So you have to get that lined up. If we go there, it's too long. So I guess we can just go down to here, and that works just fine. Alright, now we keep this going over this way. And we just need to follow our power poles. Let's actually get over next to them for this, so that we don't have to worry about falling out of the sky as we drag this belt all the way back. So back we go. And we just keep on going through this forest. There's a Mercer Sphere. Do I need that? No, I've got plenty. Like, there really aren't 8 more things in the entire game that I'm going to want to have in my dimensional storage. Like, there's maybe like 2 or 3. So let's then bring this up. So you go up there and onto our foundation. So that is quartz check. Next up, nitrogen gas. We're going to be heading far to the south for this one. So let's head over this way, and it is someplace that we've already partially used. So we should be able to grab just a little bit extra nitrogen off of it and be fine. So let's just glide on over this way. And now we're out of power range, so we do a bit of slide jumping. Now we're back in range. What is this? What factory is this? Oh, magnetic field generators. That's fun. Don't really need that, but might as well keep it running. Alright, up we go. And, okay, we need to head west quite a bit to get this nitrogen. And we're going to need to fly over there as well. Alright, is this hard drive one that I've grabbed already? Yes, it is. Become dismantled. Alright. Alright, where is the nitrogen? Down there. Alright, so we've got this, and it's all powered up, but not producing much. So let's just get a resource well extractor on you, and that is giving 300 nitrogen gas. We only need 100 some. Alright, this is awful. Getting this all the way over there is kind of gonna be a huge pain. Do I have canisters? Can I just... Yeah, I'm just gonna set up a drone port here. Alright, so let's get some space. And we actually want this to be just a little bit up in the air so that we don't have to deal with the terrain constantly causing problems. Alright, so that all gets set up. Where's our power pole? Let's get a power line over there. So we need a couple of drone ports in here. We need one as a refueler. Then we need a lot more space. We need one to bring in the aluminum. And we need one to output the packaged nitrogen gas. So that should be enough. And then we just need these to get powered up. And we are going to want additional power pole coverage in here. Alright, so you are going to be the refueler. So you output to there and there and to there. So now we can set you up as nitrogen refueler. We're going to give you half a stack rocket fuel. Give you a drone. And you need to go to rocket fuel source. So then you need to be nitrogen aluminum. Give you a chunk of rocket fuel. You need to go to aluminum source. And you get a drone. So that's enough for you to get off. And then this is nitrogen source. And you don't need to be preloaded because this guy will handle that for you eventually. Alright, so what we need is a packager, which we can squeeze in there. And this belt needs to go up over the fuel belt and then into the packager. And you just package nitrogen gas, and just one of these would be enough. Let's actually make this like that so that we can use 600 nitrogen gas. And that is good. Okay, but this actually can't go directly because this is just aluminum ingots. We need to actually craft up some fluid tanks. so you go along like that. And empty fluid tanks, and that is just a 1-to-1 recipe, so nothing fancy there. Alright, why did you go that far up? You definitely didn't need to do that. You just need to go like one tick up, and then one tick across, and then down. Alright, now we can get these two machines powered up. You need to be full speed. So that is 150 aluminum ingots into here, 150 fluid tanks out to here, and then we have our aluminum packaging there. So this resource well extractor is 300. Let's just get a full 600 set up. So these two are 150 each. So we just connect all these guys up into a pipe of 600. Okay, I don't know why I set it to auto 2D. I didn't want to do that. Just auto mode. Then you go here, you go around and into there. Alright, that should be everything, and our drones have shown up. So that is giving us some nitrogen packaging. And it will refuel that guy for the next time it needs it. And the fuel is also getting all the way over to there. And now let's just hope that taking this rocket fuel out of the system isn't going to crash the power grid, which at this point is always a possibility. It could happen at any moment. Alright, so the nitrogen is being packaged. That is all good. So now let's head back, and it's basically just due north to our nuclear facility where we are going to be extracting this. Alright, so up we go. And now we just have to go over this way. Actually, what's the next thing we need? Is it over here? The next thing we need is Caterium, which is up to the north by the quartz. Sure. Should have gotten that back then. Oh well. Alright, so we just have to get over to that area and then follow the quartz line back. The ACU ion train continues to be a bit of a clown. That's fine. Alright, over we go. Get over all these trees. And gosh, you can just jetpack for days with ionized fuel. This is incredible. Alright, so now we go up here, and we should find our Caterium. Let's just land real quick. Yeah, we're literally millimeters in front of it. So where is it? Is it in a cave somewhere? It's gonna be in a cave somewhere, isn't it? Alright, let's see here. We can grab that. And blow our way into here. Alright, Caterium, are you down here? Yes, you are. Wonderful. Alright, so we're going to need to bring power down here and apparently get rid of this thing. Hooray, random junk in my inventory. So that's a pure node, which means it's going to provide us all the Caterium that we need. So we'd go Miner Mark 3, Power Pole up. We need 633 Caterium. You are going to make 960. And then we just need a Mark 5 belt to come up and out of here. And we need to bring this power line out with us as we go. We can find out where this is even going to. Definitely don't want straight load on the belts for now. Alright, now how do we get out of here? Is it over this way? Okay, I see a bunch of rocks, which look like they might be a way out. Let's just assume that blowing up those rocks will let us get out. And then this spider is just going to stand right where I need to put my belt, isn't he? Alright, we can work around him. Alright, so this goes along this way. And the power line comes along as well. Can't wait until I can connect this power line up to something. Alright. It feels like these rocks should take us out, but I guess let's figure out. They might just take us like to a summer sleep or something. Alright, I see sky. Wait, this is not the way I want to go out. Yeah, so that takes us out to the north, and I really would rather leave to the south. Because if we go out to the north, we're going to have to go around everything, and it's going to be annoying. So if we go out this way, this should also be an exit, and let's just disconnect that, go up here, and bring this along. Alright. Is this an exit? Yes, it is. And it seems to be pointing in approximately the right direction. Alright, so this goes up like that. And that was a bit too high, but that's fine. Now you can come out into the open along with our power pole. And now we bring the belt up to there. Power pole goes up to here. And now we just have to meet the power pole up with any other belt, like that one over there. So this just goes across a little bit to the quartz. Like that. And then we come back here. And we can bring our belt along as well. Which should now pretty quickly be getting Caterium ore on it. So here we go. And then you go right up to the edge of that cliff. And then you go down it. And then we just keep on going. Go out to here. And yeah, there's the Caterium ore already. That stuff moves quick. So now we just drop all the way down with this. bring you along that way, and we just have to follow the quartz belt home. Alright, so this goes like that. And then we have to go up that tiny little ledge, across here, and just keep moving along this way. Yeah, surface is too even, so we have to retry. And we just keep on going. Okay, at this point, hoverpack is going to be easier than jetpack. So let's get into the hoverpack and bring this along. So we keep going. And we will be there eventually. Past that spider. Keep sort of zigzagging along this way. And now we are just about there. So let's go up to that area. Send the belt up. And onto the foundation. Alright, that's Caterium, check. Next up is water. We are going to need so much water for this in general, but even just for the production phase of things, we're going to need a lot of water. So we'll do the water. Yeah, let's do the water now. So we can overclock the water extractors now in order to get just not having to place as many. But we're still going to have to place a couple. So we need almost exactly 1800 water, so that's 3 full pipes, which is 15 regular speed water extractors, and that's just not spacious enough. Is this... That drop pod has already been searched, so we can dismantle it. So most of this swamp area, there is just not enough water in one place to access all of it. So we're gonna have to go like back to here maybe. This looks like a decent sized puddle. Nope, that is too small except for in tiny little areas. So I guess we are going off into the ocean then. So let's go over to the ocean. And we just need to expand off of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we need those to get powered up. Okay, that is a completely filled power pole, which isn't great. So let's get a couple of regular power poles over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, in order to just save some time, let's get these to 300, and then we're just going to need 6 of them. And one more. Alright, now we combine these up into batches of 2, and that will be all of our water needs for producing the fuel rods. We're going to need a ton more water to actually use them properly, but that will be later on. For now, we just need to bring these pipes over. 1 and 2 and 3. And now we just drag them over this way. Alright, so these just keep going forwards. And we fall out of the sky. Why do we not have good power in this entire area? There, let's just get a couple more power poles going forward so that we can have that for a little bit. And now we just keep bringing these guys forwards. And that's the limestone there. That is where we're headed. So these just all go forwards. And good old water pipes. Good old water pipes. You gotta drag so many of them to get anything done. I really, really wish we had Mark III pipes that could handle more water so that this would be just slightly less annoying. Alright, we are almost there. And are we going to pave directly over this bauxite? No, let's go around it. Just in case. You never know when you're going to need a bauxite mine. So we go around it. And then we can go around this other one as well. Straight through some trees, though. And this bauxite isn't going to be easy to access because the pipes are sort of surrounding it at this point, but at least it won't be physically obstructed by pipes that we have to dismantle. Alright, so then this water just goes up there. And up there. And up there. Alright, so that is the water. And we're going to want to do some pumping for these, which, if we just place them here, it should be fine. This area is slightly higher than that one, but let's just put the pumps back here and be a little bit more safe. And then we can power them on. 1, 2, and 3. And the head lift shouldn't be that bad. Yeah, we're like half of the total head lift that the pumps can manage just getting up there. And then that, from there to here, shouldn't be 10 meters up. Doesn't look like it anyways. Alright, so that is water check. Next up, iron ore. Should be easy. Just have those two normal nodes or that pure node. Let's grab the pure node. So we go down here. And where are you? Where are you, Mr. Iron Node? Can I grab some power? It's somewhere in this area. Just a little bit further forwards. Probably up on this ledge, maybe? Yeah, here it is, behind those trees. There we go. Iron node. And we need 900 and some iron. So let's just power you up with a couple of power shards and get you going. So this then needs a Mark V belt, which we're just going to bring along this way. Or Mark VI belt, rather, not Mark V. So the Mark VI belt just comes over here. And we just gotta keep on going. And we just keep going, and we just keep going. Alright, so we need to get up to relatively close to the foundation, but not quite on it. Then you go up here and in. Alright, iron, check. Next up, copper. We have a pure copper node just to the west. So let's head over and grab that. Should be probably like just by these water extractors or something. Alright, where are you, copper node? There you are. Miner mark 3 on the copper node. And we need 600 some, so we're just going to overclock that to more than enough. And then we run mark 5 belts back to the foundation. Alright, keep on going. I can't wait until I am within range of the power pole again. There we are. So, just a little bit further forwards, and then we can go up. Up there, and on. Alright, that is copper. Next up, we need a little bit of coal, which we can bring either from... All this coal is actually pretty far away. So let's just head over here to these impure nodes off to the west. And that is going to want me to swap over to this. And off we go. So we head off this way until we find our coal. And then we're going to have to drag a very, very lengthy belt, which could theoretically be Mark 1. I'm going to probably have it be Mark 2 just for speed purposes. So we just have to climb up this giant waterfall, which almost certainly has all sorts of fun stuff hidden behind it. Alright, then we just go down southwest. And let's get a good slide jump start so that we don't get stuck in midway up. And what, is it all the way up here? Or is it below this? I can't remember. It's below this. Yeah, so it's just on the other side. We go over here. And this is this fixit trigons? Yeah, that's fixite trigons right there. Neat. And here is our coal. So we pop a miner mark 3. And you can get powered up just off of this somewhere. Like that. And we don't even need to overclock this one. That 120 is almost 3 times more than we need. So now we just have to run this belt along to somewhere useful. Actually, there's another coal node here, which would have been a mildly shorter belt, I think. Of course, a random guy decided to walk there. Of course he did. Why not? Alright, so now this belt just goes along this way. And wait, we followed this river, right? Yeah, we just follow the river. And we're going to have to go around that giant rock. Straight through this area, which is somewhat confusingly laid out. And just sneak along to here. And now we need the belt to go over the waterfall, which is going to require a fair amount of spacing. Alright, so let's get a foundation in. Just sort of going over this way. So then this can go out onto that foundation. And then we can drop down from here. Alright, so this goes the rest of the way down. And now we just have to get off of this area so we're not in the way of those water extractors. And now, hopefully, we have upper pack range most places. Apparently not here. Alright, so we just have to bring this along. Oh, I forgot that when you land in water, it's just a catastrophe. It's just the worst thing that could possibly happen. So this is going to go over this way. And we're going to stand on it as we build it. How is there no power in any of this area? Like, there's just this massive power dead zone for no reason. Alright, we're back within range of power poles. Thank goodness. Yeah, so everywhere around that one spot has tons of power. That one spot is just empty for no reason. Alright, so now we just have to make our way over here. There's the copper belt. And we are just about there. It's going to take quite a while, because I'm using Mark II belts, because it's funny. It's going to take quite a while to actually get all the way over here. So this then goes up and onto the foundation here in this one random corner, which happens to be incredibly busy. Alright, so that is the coal. Now the only resources we need are the uranium and the sulfur. So, for the sulfur we have an impure node up there, which can do 300. Uranium, we have an impure node there, which can do 300. And then we need an additional 500 of each, which is just going to be... Okay, at that point we might as well just do drone ports for all of it, even though the uranium doesn't have to go all that far. So yeah, let's set up drone ports for uranium and sulfur. And might as well do the nitrogen as well. So we need our drone ports here. We need... U will be uranium. U will be sulfur. And let's get a little bit of extra space. Oh, what was that horrible sound? Did you hear that? It sounded like a cat died. Alright, so you then get to be nuclear nitrogen. You get to be nuclear uranium. And you get to be nuclear sulfur. Alright, so let's get these all powered up. And these are going to be fueled from the other side, just to prevent the extra stuff here. So you are going to go to nitrogen source, and you get a drone. You two also get drones, but the places you're going to don't exist yet. And let's see, do we actually need more than one of them? Hang on, how is this going to work? Because we need multiple drones going to here. Yeah, okay, so this is going to be slightly different from my usual. So yeah, we're going to have to deal with that, but it should be fine anyways. They should provide a steady stream of outputs to this factory. If we have multiple drones just waiting to unload here. I think that's fine. Yeah, I think it's fine. Alright, so anyways, what were we doing? We need to go out to a sulfur node or two. We've got that one. And where's the next closest? Because if we grab closer ones, it will make it the drone transport marginally faster. Let's also just check the numbers on this. Oh, not enough fuel, right. So you get some rocket fuel. I'm going to grab another stack. So you should be able to transport enough nitrogen easily, but it's not clear whether how much sulfur will be able to be transported via drones. So let's just go over there and get that set up. So off we go. And we can climb up this. Where are we? It's right in front of us at this point. Should be just down there. Found it. Alright, here it is. And we get a Miner Mark III with max overclocked, and that's only 300. So now we need to find a normal node of sulfur, like this one there, to get the other 600. So first of all, we need to get this one connected to power. And, oh, actually we have power over this way. That's going to be closer than the other way. There we go. Now that's all hooked up. And we just need to set up a drone port. So let's get up to here. Find a direction where we can drag some foundations without running into major problems. We can go out over the swamp here. And then we just have to blow up the foliage over there. Didn't quite get all of it. Alright, so where are my regular nobelisks? Alright, how do you select... How do I get this thing to change ammo again? Okay, it's not by scanning for uranium. That's definitely not how we want to do it. Wait, did I ever actually grab the... Yes, I did. I grabbed 50 obelisks here. And... Alright, what if I just take you out and put you back? There we go, that works. Alright, let's clear out some foliage. There and there. The uranium scanner is turning up results. Although, obviously, nothing that I didn't already know about. Alright, now we get in our 2 drone ports. So that is 1 and 2. And then these guys get powered. Actually, how is the power grid going nowadays? Still looking fine. Cool. Alright, so you are the refueler. So you are sulfur refueler. We're going to give you a chunk of rocket fuel and tell you to go to the rocket fuel source. And then you get a drone and you're off. Then you are sulfur source 300. And you are going to get a drone and go to nuclear sulfur. Which, obviously, you're not really going to be accomplishing anything with those trips for now. But you will be eventually. So that. And this. Like that. So you won't go until you have fuel. And by that time, you should have enough sulfur to accomplish something. So that's good. Now we have to fly out this way, grab that uranium and that sulfur. And then we should be all set up. Let's fly over here. What factory is this? Is this the... No, this is something big. I don't know. Oh, is this... Is this nuclear pasta? Let's see here. If we get further up, it'll become apparent, probably. No, this is not nuclear pasta. There's too many steps. This is the other big one from last phase. The thermal propulsion rockets. Got it. Alright, so that's fine. We just head over this way. And this uranium, I imagine it's like in a cave somewhere. Probably in a cave underneath the waterfall. So we're gonna have to go looking for it. I guess I'll check to see if it's just sitting in the middle of the lake above the waterfall first. But I would be very surprised to find it there. Alright, so if it were on the surface, it would be like in here. And it is not. Alright, let's grab another stack of ionized fuel, because we are down to 6 there somehow. Alright, so where does this cave become an entrance? It's not this, that's for sure. No human is ever meant to see that. Here we go. Alright. Uranium spotted. And there's a couple of guys on top of it. Which I might have to blow up, or I might not. There you are. Didn't have to blow them up. So that is 300 uranium. And we are just gonna we're just gonna power line and belt this out of this cave and then connect it up via drone port. I probably should have had these guys fueled from the central source, since it would require fewer drone ports to be dedicated to fuel. It's fine though. Alright, so now we just have to get power up here, connect that across. You are Mark 3s, but you actually need to be Mark 4s. Just a second. There we go. So that's 300. And then we need a little bit of room here for our drone ports. And it's just a good old two-piece combo here. So we got a drone port and another drone port. You go into your fueling. So this is uranium refueler. You go to rocket fuel source. You get a little bit of that. And you get a drone. And then you go in there. This is uranium source 300. And you are going to nuclear uranium. Okay, then we have to make sure that these are actually powered on. Alright, so you're going to head off, grab some fuel, and then by the time you come back, this will be filled up with uranium. So now we just have to go off into this area, grab these two batches of 600, and then hope that it's enough. I might need to add additional drone ports to just get the coverage fast enough. Because obviously the more drones there are, the more we can get going. And I don't know if a single drone will be able to handle all of it. Alright, so then this, we just head basically along the line that we're headed, and we'll hit the sulfur. Off we go. Here's a hard drive, which needs heat sinks. Do I have heat sinks? No, I do not, and I don't care enough to craft them for that. So on we go. And back to jetpack. Alright, so we just fly over here. And then we go along this way. Alright, a little bit further north than I was headed. And we should encounter it soon. Get high up. Yep, there it is. And we have what looks like a power line right over there. So these giant walls basically always carry power with them. So let's go and grab some of that power. And this is an oil spot. Alright, so we grab some of that. Bring it up here. And over to the sulfur. Alright, now we get a minor Mark III, which we power on. And I hope that this power line is actually attached. It is. Alright, so now we just need to set up the drone port, which we don't really have any super convenient way of getting it off the ground, so we're just going to have to do that manually like that. And then we just have to build some space. And swap back to hover pack for this. Alright, that should be enough space. Now we just have to put the drone ports in. So we get one. And let's get some more space as well off this way. And let's blow up that tree. Over we go. So you are going to have multiple drone ports because I think it might be necessary. And you can output 600 a minute. Alright, so this one over here is going to be sulfur refueler 2. And you get some of that, and you get rocket fuel source. And then all of you get powered up. All of you get powered up. Then you get a drone. And so you are off to the rocket fuel. Then you are sulfur source 600, 1 out of 2. And you are sulfur source 600, 2 out of 2. And then we have our fuel going across to both of these guys. Like that. Into there. And into there. Actually, let's have that be this belt, just so we have more space. And then we have a splitter, which takes Mark 6 up to there, and then 300 to there, and 300 to there. So then both of those are gonna get drones, which go to nuclear sulfur and nuclear sulfur. Alright, so theoretically, if one drone can handle 300 sulfur a minute, this would be enough. I don't know if that's actually the case. In terms of the fuel, it looks like it can handle like 200 rocket fuel a minute, but that also might just be because it's kind of far away. We might need to add even one more drone port onto this system. I guess we'll find that out in a moment. So then the last thing is we need to head down here to that uranium node. And I'm going to bring power down there, I think, because I'm not 100% certain that we have it in that area. I haven't tapped any of those nodes in that area, which means it might be completely untouched. So just in case, it's not gonna hurt to just bring some power tower platforms along with us. Alright. So then we can just get over here and keep on heading down. Alright. So now we're here. How much further? I need to go a good bit sort of this way. So let's see how far we can place this. Like that. We do have some power in this area at least. And there's more giant power lines. Alright, so now where are we relative to the uranium? So we now need to go like due west. And it will probably be just by this pond. By this pond somewhere. Like in a cave, perhaps? Let's see here. So it's either just up on the top of that ledge, or it's in a cave inside of this somewhere. And is that a cave entrance? No, that's just a ledge. Alright, so let's get you in. And then zip line the rest of the way up. Alright, so it should be like right over here. And do I see it? I do not. So now it's time to start cave entrance hunting. So obviously this cliff face here would be the #1 candidate. Ooh, there's a poison pillar down there. Are these poison pillars concealing a cliff entrance? It doesn't look like it. That lag spike was annoyingly placed right as I was rapidly plummeting towards the ground. Okay, is it like an underwater cave? It seems like they wouldn't do that. No, they wouldn't. Okay, is it up here somewhere? There is this, like, convenient walkable ledge here, which is highly suspicious. Nothing in there. Nothing in there. I do have a ladder there that I had placed earlier. Alright, no sign of anything so far. So far, we are not doing too great on the whole locating the uranium thing. Let's just do another scan from high up to just confirm that it is not, like, just on the surface somewhere. And it seems like it isn't. Okay, so the cliff entrance might be on this side. Or it could be like a super long, deep cave, which starts nowhere near here, and this is like in the middle of it. That would be very annoying if that were the case. Okay, I guess technically this could be like a sky entrance into it. Now I assume that this would just be... Okay, I've blown it up a couple times and it's not disappearing, but that doesn't look like an entrance to anything. It doesn't look like it. Yeah, I think I've actually been here looking for summer sloops before, annoyingly. Which means that I failed to find it last time. Alright, maybe the cave entrance is like... Okay, that river there is incredibly suspicious. Let's head far to the south, actually, and see if we can find it down there. because that river seems to be coming out of nowhere, and it seems quite possible that it's coming out of a cave. So we're going to head over that way. So we just head down here and just run along. If this is actually where it is, I'm going to feel so smart. And also we can pick up a summer sloop or two while we're here. That would be great. Alright, here's a summer sloop. Let's grab it. Yeah, so the fact that there's just an open summer sloop means I definitely haven't looked in this area before. Okay, so we also have a hard drive down here, which I have grabbed. Alright, so if we head all the way down to this, we have a giant cave. Alright, so now we just have to travel through this giant cave to where I suspect will be a uranium patch, and possibly also a summer sloop. So up we go. And we just keep slide jumping and hover packing. Here's the uranium. Bingo. It's sort of anticlimactic. It's just sort of like in a room in a hallway. So you obviously get max overclocked up to 600 a minute. And let's see, does it really matter which direction we go? Not really. Let's explore this way just for the sake of exploration. See if there's either a closer exit or a summer sloop or something. Okay, this seems further than the other way. Yeah, this cave is big and long and kind of boring. I mean, there's not even monsters in here. Okay, I spoke too soon. There's one. Alright, what else is there to see in here? So we keep on going. And this just goes and goes and goes forever. How are we going this far up? I guess we did drop down a long ways to get into this cave. But this is crazy. Alright, and then it just exits. Where does it exit? Wait, just here? How did I miss this? This cave entrance is massive. Where is this? Okay, it's just like the world's largest cave entrance in that area. And I guess I was up here looking around last time, so that's how I missed it. Makes sense. Alright, this is way further of a trip to bring the belt and the power lines than the other way, so let's head down there again. So down we go. Slide jumping downhill is kind of awesome though. Like when you have to jetpack mid-air to not take damage because you're going so far, that is great. Alright, so now we're back here. And there's no other, like, side rooms to this or anything. Just a power slug. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So we just have to take this stuff down here. And just run a very, very long belt and power line combo until we are out. Alright, let's just run the belt all the way and then come back for the power line. That'll be easier than constantly swapping back and forth. It'll require more movement though. Alright, so this comes down here. And we just need to get this out to somewhere where we can see the sky, because placing drone ports in caves feels cheesy. Technically you can do it, but it feels wrong. And we also need to get out here for power line purposes anyways. Alright, so that is good for that. Now let's get the power poles, which we can just do like this. And this just goes all the way up until it connects up with something. Alright, so now those two connect. Now, once we get the other side of this power pole connected up to something, then this will be making uranium. So now we just slide jump down here. Alright, so we're out here, and this is kind of a beautiful place to make a factory. I'll have to remember that for some future time. Do I have any power lines within like 1,000 miles of this place? Maybe up top? Maybe up top. Alright, we're going to swap over... Actually, let's just build the drone port area here first, so we get a foundation. We get a wall going just 4 meters up so that we can avoid most of the headache. And then we can extend this out. So there we go. That should be enough. And then we get a couple of drone ports in. So this, we go in like that, and we get 1, 2, 3. So you are the uranium refueler 2. So you get a little bit of rocket fuel, and you go to the rocket fuel source. And you get a drone, and all of you get drones actually. So then you are uranium source 600, 1 out of 2. And you are uranium source 600, 2 out of 2. Then you go to nuclear uranium. You go to nuclear uranium. Alright, now our fuel belt. I am not used to building on ground level. This is kind of awful. Fuel belt goes like that. And like that. Then we have our uranium belt, which goes up to there, down into there, and then across to there. And let's see here. Are these connected up to the power poles? No, they are not. So let's get that done. Alright, so those are all connected up. Now we just need to connect the power poles to something in order to get all of this to go. So let's get a power tower platform. You attach into that. And when in doubt, just go up. So the odds of me at least being able to see somewhere close with power goes up dramatically if I'm up on top of this giant cliff. Alright, so let's land real quick and recover. And, oh wait, is this connected? It is. Thank you, random hard drive that required power to operate. So now this whole thing is functional, and that drone there should be leaving. Yep, there it goes. So that drone is taking off. It's going to go back and bring fuel back for all these guys. And then pretty soon we're going to get uranium going along on this belt. And then that will be that. Alright, let's see the uranium show up so I know that there's not something wrong with it. Yep, there it is. And let's see how far we can get. Yeah, okay. The radiation actually doesn't go very far at all. So that's neat. Alright, so that is all set up, and with that, we theoretically have everything supplied into our factory. Now, I'm not at all confident on the sulfur and uranium mines to actually for the drone ports. Even with 2 of them, I'm not sure. We might need to add like an additional drone port at all those places in order to get it to function properly. But in order to know for certain, we're going to have to return to the factory and set up some sinks on the outputs. And then once we do that and we have that running, then we can say that we've gathered all the resources for the factory. And technically, I mean, we have gathered them. I don't know if we're gathering them fast enough, but we have them all. So that's pretty neat. We just have to sort of... Wait, I'm heading the wrong way, aren't I? Yeah, I'm on just clean the opposite side of the map at this point. Alright, let's respawn. I was heading west instead of east. Alright, we respawn. And fortunately we have a hypertube launcher here, which sends us directly out to the swamp. And off we go. Okay, let's not lose altitude just yet. Although we are going to have to lose a lot of altitude pretty fast once we get there. Alright, here we go. And we are landing. Alright, so what's the situation here? You have a drone, and we want you to go to uranium source 300, I guess. And then the sulfur one, we want your drone to go to sulfur source 300. So now we have 2 drones on that route. And so that we don't have to head back out to those places, and then we can just head out if we need to do the upgrades to the larger inputs. Alright, so now we just do this, and we get awesome sync, and theoretically we would want to have these speed limited so that we can get the outputs at like exactly the right ratios, but that seems difficult. So So instead, we are just going to have them just output as fast as they can. Okay, so this is the aluminum, and we actually have to decide what we're doing with the extra packages, because we theoretically could recycle them, feed them back into here, and then loop them back and forth. And that would be a lot more efficient in terms of aluminum. It would also mean that this isn't dependent on the aluminum. Yeah, we should definitely do that, because otherwise this whole thing is dependent on the aluminum system for continuing to function. And if aluminum ever stops, which, if you know anything about aluminum, you know is incredibly likely, then our entire power grid could fail, and that seems catastrophically stupid. So let's just have you take packaged nitrogen gas, unpackage it. So you go there, and then you output just straight back to there. And let's get power pole in there, and then send that back. So you keep outgoing and incoming separate. That's one of the cool things about the drone ports. So you should be able to do this pretty easily. And then let's just set that up to max speed. And then get a fluid buffer for you to be filling. Alright, so that should give us a good chunk of that. Then you're going to fill up with nitrogen, and then we have to head out to the nitrogen supply again and set it up so that it accepts recycles, as opposed to only producing new containers. And let's see, we need to set it up so that it doesn't ever get stuck. That's the important thing. Because if it ever gets stuck from the recycling, then the power grid fails. Because this doesn't get nitrogen under those circumstances. So let's run back to there. And where is our nitrogen? It's going to be this way. Okay, that was not a good launch at all. That was much better. So we just have to jetpack over this way. And then it's down here. Alright, so we need a... Let's see here. We need a priority merger on there, which takes priority medium left, and then this input goes into that. It's a bit scuffed, but whatever. Alright, so now when we get canisters back, they will go into this system to refill. Now, will this ever get completely filled with canisters to the point where we can't output anything? Theoretically, yes. What do we do about that? We need... Okay, we actually need you to be a splitter then. A smart splitter, to be specific. So one output goes up to here, which I need to rearrange so that it fits properly. Alright, can you actually just... Does that look good? No, that's not going to look good. Alright, so you go up to there, then around to there, then up to there. That's too far to the side. So you go up to there and then in. So that then goes like that. And this is center any left overflow. And then the overflow goes into a sink so that if we can ever not get the canisters out, it'll dump them. And theoretically, the drone showing up here should take a bunch of nitrogen out of here, causing this to run immediately, basically. So hopefully that works well enough to not cause any problems. Alright, so this side doesn't have the drone. The nuclear nitrogen one does have a drone, but it's unclear what it's doing, if anything. Let's get drones shown now. Okay, there are a billion drones in that area doing something. Okay, there's one coming over there. That's just a different drone. Okay, there's just a bunch of like random drones just cruising around without names. I don't know how they've managed to not have names when like half of them do and half of them don't. I don't know why that is. I've never intentionally named a drone. I've named drone stations, but not drones. Alright, well, we have this. This is all set up. And I guess we should just move back up and see what's going on at the other side. Because clearly nothing interesting is happening here. That is quite obvious. Alright, so we can just head up here and see what happens. Now, are there like a bunch of drones trying to get into these ports and being stuck, or are they all working properly? It looks like there are drones waiting in these. And not enough fuel. Okay. Well, they should have enough fuel. It should be good for a two-way trip. Okay, and then the other drones are all just hovering around somewhere waiting for these guys to get out, which they can't. Alright, so this one is doing fine. It's got fuel, and it's got plenty of nitrogen if it just had the ability to unload it. This one here is not enough fuel, so let's pop a stack of that. We might have to just give you a starting boost each. There we go. So you should refuel at the other side. Assuming that the other side has gotten fuel by this point, which I believe it has. Okay, all those drones, they must be up there somewhere. They are absolutely swarming right now. Alright, that's good. So those drones are leaving. This one is still here. And it's just going to be sitting here because, I mean, we've only unpackaged like 20 some nitrogen and we're already completely filled up that tank. Alright, well, I want to see uranium show up here. So you are... That's the nitrogen one. This is the uranium one. We have... These ones are en route. The uranium source 300 one is confused for some reason. Is that the same thing happening here? No, all of these ones are status moving. So, why are they having difficulties? Alright, it looks like there should be drones landing here. Like, there are a billion up there, right? They're all up there doing something. And the minimap shows like 2 drones physically in these stations when there pretty clearly isn't. Alright, this one, the uranium source 300 is confused. None of these drones... Oh wait, no, here they come. It just took them a very long time for some reason. Are they like waiting up above the entire factory up there and then only descending when it's clear? That could be it. And that's just a really, really long trip that they have to take all the way down here. I would hope that they wouldn't do that, but it really looks like they might be. Alright, so these guys both landed at about the same time, which is unsurprising since I got the other drones to leave at about the same time. And then we get them landing. Alright, so you did nothing useful. You did nothing useful. And that was to the uranium source 300 ones. Which I would have thought would be good by now. So why is your maximum transfer rate so much higher than yours? I guess these are all a little bit further away, but I wouldn't think that's enough to make a difference. Who knows? We also haven't seen any like actual incoming transfer rate yet, so that's concerning. I am not at all confident that these drone ports are working, and they're definitely not inspiring confidence with what they're up to right now. Now this is apparently just a ridiculous amount of nitrogen. Like this is 1 to 4. So this is like stacks of 400 nitrogen basically. So each row of this is worth that industrial storage container, I think, is how that works out. And then there are 3 rows. Although it doesn't make sense how this is only got 1 empty stack that's even been slightly touched. Don't know what that's about. Alright, well, I think we're going to have to just see how this develops over time, if any of these drones ever show up, if that uranium source over there ever gets sorted out. We're going to have to check up on those, but for now, I think we're in a pretty good spot. We theoretically have all of our resources prepared for our nuclear power plant. And if we check the grid, we still got a bit of leeway before everything explodes. So that should be fine. Okay, here come some drones now. Surely these guys will actually be bringing resources. Surely these guys are actually bringing resources down. I might have to, like, move this so that these guys aren't directly underneath all of that, because that might be causing a problem. I guess we'll see. I mean, it's just making the trip much longer. I guess we'll see, though. That's another thing which we're going to have to look into. Alright, so you land, and then you should be supplying your resources any second now. Alright, it still says en route. Is it still animating? Yeah, it's still animating, I think. Oh, nope, it's taking off. Alright, don't know why they're doing that. Alright, well, these drones keep going without doing anything, so I think something's wrong. But I'm not sure what, and I think we're going to find that out next time. So, thanks everyone for hanging out. We will be doing Factorio tomorrow, where I have some plans to deal with the problems we're facing on Vulcanus, and those plans are going to require a fair amount of effort, so it's not going to be an immediate thing. But we are working on that, and then we'll be back to Satisfactory on Tuesday, where we will be figuring out, like, the exact details of how to make this whole thing work, and then we will be, once we have the transportation problems fixed, we will start building a nuclear power plant. We should have everything set to straight up double our power production, and that will be pretty nice. And then that's just doubling it, not even considering the plutonium. So that's just considering the uranium. And then the plutonium and eventually the fixonium will be even more on top of that. But that will all be a job for the future. So thanks everyone for hanging out. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, alternating between various factory building games. So if you're interested in Satisfactory or Factorio, make sure to follow so that you know when I'm live and what I'm playing. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks everyone for hanging out.